crazy. We're live. Privyet. Privyet. We are live in the capital of sin. We're in Kiev, in Ukraine. I'm just getting a weird notification coming up. Yeah, here we are. This is it, Ukraine. In the middle of the city, we're sitting outside a restaurant on one of the main streets here, one of the main shopping thoroughfares. Obviously myself, Troy Francis, Mr. M. And we've been out and about all day coaching students here in Kiev, and it's been a great day, hasn't it?
Yeah,
and by the way, any background noise, obviously let us know if you can actually hear what we're saying, because we are in quite a noisy environment at the moment. There are families eating,
babies screaming.
It's all, there's music playing, it's all happening. So let us know if the volume is all right. But yeah, we thought we'd jump on and do a little bit of a live stream because we've been coaching out here now for what, 2 days? Second day?
Second day, yeah.
End of the second day. And Kiev it's just a great place. It's a very safe pair of hands. And we thought we'd just jump on and have a bit of a chat about Ukraine, Kiev, what it's been like here, what's been happening, and plans going forward. Yeah. And we've got Little Nikki, who's on the stream earlier. Little Nikki, I believe, is a real-life female. She was on the stream earlier when I was talking to Jack Napier, and here she is again. Good evening, Troy and Mr. M.
Hello.
So, Nikki, good of you to... Obviously, you're spending a lot of your time watching this Manosphere content, so good on you. Thank you very much. Good to see you on here. So, yeah, how's it been for you?
Yeah, man. So I've been here for about two and a half weeks, and unfortunately, just to get the bad out of the way, it's been quite cold here in Kiev so far. They say it's actually abnormal for it to be this cold because obviously we thought the weather was going to be great. Today actually turned out to be a little bit better, but besides the weather, obviously as Troy mentioned, quality here is super high. I mean, I think by now everybody knows just how good Kiev is, Ukraine as a whole, but obviously this being the capital, we have more volume here, and obviously we're on the main street. We ran into some cool people that we'll mention later. We'll surprise a little bit later.
Half of the luminaries of the online manosphere are here in Kiev now. This
Coincidentally.
Is really, yeah. Everyone's here. It's like there's this kind of world summit going on here. It's really crazy.
And we didn't plan that. It just so happened that everybody came during the same period.
Yeah.
We started seeing all these notifications. We're like, oh shit! It's kind of what a
coincidence. It's popping off because the thing is, like, people know. It's a great place to. People know it's a great place to come because you've got lots of very attractive women. It's also accessible in the sense that you don't. Well, I don't believe for US citizens. Certainly for UK and EU citizens, you don't need a visa to come in. You can come in as a tourist.
Yeah.
I think for the US as well. Is that the case?
Yeah. There's no visas required. All you needed is obviously, the basic. Travel, but no visa whatsoever. Pretty easy, and it's pretty open.
Open.
No restrictions whatsoever at all.
Exactly. The party's rocking around us, and it's just getting started. Yeah, it's just getting started because it's obviously Friday night, so people are around about. It was a good vibe in the city today because you could really tell, couldn't you? Coming up to the weekend, people are finishing work, getting excited for the weekend, getting ready to go out. The vibe was really, really, really good. Yes, we did.
Second day.
Day two.
Yeah, we just got done with the second session, and then we're just chilling out. Again, we're waiting until we meet.
Yeah.
Troy will reveal it later, but we're just having some food at a Turkish restaurant right now.
Yeah, definitely. So, you've been here longer than me. I got in a couple of days, well, three or 4 days ago, and when I first got here, I have to say I was a little bit not disappointed, but I felt slightly as if my memory was a bit more rose tinted. I remember just a beautiful girl on every single corner and blah blah blah. But I think but now that I've been here a few days, I'm thinking actually this is really bloody good. Yeah. This is actually really good. Yeah. Maybe it's just it takes you a while to acclimatise.
Yeah, exactly. So I think at least me personally, once the first couple of days you're in a new environment. Yeah. You're still adapting. Senses are still a little bit new, but once you kind of get yourself settled in, day 2, day 3, you start really feeling out the city. Yeah. And you start really getting a good vibe. I also think today too, the weather was really good. Yeah. It made a little bit of a difference in terms of people just being a lot more sociable. And obviously today is Friday, So when we were talking to people, everybody was more willing just to be more social in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I got here on a Monday actually. So obviously it was that's not the best time to go out. But by day 2, by day 3, once I kind of became comfortable where I'm at, kind of adjusting to the culture, it's been great ever since.
Yeah, it takes you a little while to get used to these places. I mean, and everywhere at the moment, we're just, well, myself and I guess James, who isn't on the stream today because he's sitting with his dick in his hand on holiday somewhere. So we're just doing the stream today from here. Where's the PUA master, Tuss? He is, as I say, sitting with his dick firmly in his hand somewhere in Europe. So we are taking over the channel today and just doing a quick live stream. I forgot what I was saying now, really.
But adjusting to you said when you came in.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all. I think we were a bit spoiled by Moscow because Moscow was so good and the quality was so high and the reception was so good and everything like that. And everywhere after that, it seemed a little bit like, oh, is it as good? But I have to say, after a few days here, I'm now thinking this is pretty damn good because we've had a really today basically it's been really good. So.
It's been really good, but also I think what's worth mentioning is because we talked a little bit about this with Poland because a lot of people say that if you went to Poland 4, 5, 10 years ago, how good it was. We just came from Warsaw. It was still good, but you can tell that, the social media age, this day and age, it's coming up in a lot of these countries. Countries like Poland and Ukraine, everybody has a cell phone these days.
Yeah.
So not to say that it's become like a lot harder. It's just that you may see a difference even if you would have came to a place 2 years ago. You see a little bit of a difference even now.
Yeah, but I have to say, I think my initial sort of perception when I came here this time was a little bit pessimistic because actually the responses are pretty damn good here, aren't they? And
most of them,
in general, are the women as feminine as people say they are?
Yeah, I would say to a degree, yeah. But I just, as mentioned, with the social media age and everything else, this is all over the world. You still run into women not as feminine. It's not like 100%, but I would say more so than countries in the West. Definitely more so than when we were just in Berlin.
Yeah. Or the United States of America. If John MLD is watching this and you want to jump on and have a rant about American ladies, then feel free. But I mean, sure, without a doubt, yes. I mean, there's a lot of femininity, there's a lot of beauty here. It's just generally, it's a very cool place. It's a very cool place. I say people are friendly. Actually, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not that friendly. The service isn't always that great, and so on. But in general, it's a fun place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fun place. I mean, everybody should just come visit. It should be on everybody's travel bucket list.
Yeah. And it seems, like we say, it seems to be at the moment because we've got so many people over here at the moment. Is the affecting day game in any form? Well, no. Today was quite warm actually. I mean, like now the temperature's dropped. Oh, Tinder. God. How did that come up?
Yeah.
No, so today was actually quite warm. What's happening is it's quite warm during the day and then the temperature's dropping quite sharply at night.
Before you came though, for about a good week and a half, every day was cloudy, rainy. So I would say yes, to a degree, it did affect it a little bit because it's naturally when it's cold weather, people are not as sociable, not as happy. So it wasn't like tough or impossible, but yeah, there was a little bit of a difference. And then today, as Troy mentioned, today the sun came out for the first time in a week, and we could tell right away just it made a big difference in terms of the reactions, people more willing to socialize, etc. On top of it is Friday as well.
Yeah, exactly. This is the city's always a good time at the weekends for sure. Troy's wearing a scarf. What's the temperature like over there? Well, it's gone down.
It's for the fashion only, though. He's not doing it for the cold.
This is the old Burberry scarf. You can see. I wear it during the summer. It's definitely dipped a little bit now, but it was good during the day.
During day game, what to do with other people watching you and a girl? It's cringe. Oh, I actually have a. You want me to tell you my funny story? What happened?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so this is a spotlight effect. I mean, obviously, you just have to block it out. Yes, you are going to see some people maybe noticing you, especially if you're in like the same area. You just have to do as best as you can. Just block it out. Just focus on what you want, which is interacting with the girl that you want to talk to. But a funny story was, I think it was my second day, I did approach a girl, and I could tell from behind me, it was like an older gentleman. He stopped as well to kind of look.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't want to say he was homeless, but he was just not well put together. He had nothing else better to do. So after the interaction was done, he said something to me. He didn't speak English, obviously. He was Ukrainian, but I think it was a little bit of like, oh, what are you like talking to our girls or something like that?
Yeah.
Again, I just ignored it. I laughed it off. But as mentioned, you just block out the noise and then just go for what you want.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've got to pretend. Let's try and do this without getting anything. You've got to try to just imagine that you are in a bubble with the girl, the woman that you're talking to, and it's just the two of you, and there's nobody else in the world. And so, if there are other people who are standing around and they are looking at you, you've just blocked it out. You've got that real tunnel vision. It's just you and her. At least in that moment, just you and her. What other people are doing, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I'll be in an interaction and I will be vaguely aware that there are people around looking, but I just try to block it out. And then when the interaction finishes, you just leave the interaction, again, without looking at them or acknowledging them, and it's just not in your reality.
And just also realize you're never going to see these people again. So don't let other people's opinions or the fact that they may see you affect what you want to do. So like a few seconds of awkwardness is well worth it if you're able to obviously get a number, or even if you don't get a number, you're still going for it. You should not let other people's actions and thoughts affect your actions and thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, other people are always going to sort of the reason people look is because they're not taking action, and they are basically jealous that other people are taking action.
That's true, yeah.
If it's guys, they're jealous because they would like to take that action themselves, but maybe they don't feel able to. And if it's other women, they're probably jealous because somebody's getting attention and they're not. So you've got to block them out.
Just live your life. Don't focus on. Don't be worried about
it. Live your life, be free.
Do you guys plan to do night game tonight? How is the bar scene in Kiev in general? Well, I think that's a good question for the folks that we met earlier that were talking about the bar scene.
Yeah. So basically, there's a load of people out here at the moment. Earlier on, we met Mystery. So basically, we met Mystery and Rob Baxter. So shout out to those guys if they happen to be sad enough to be sitting at home with their dicks in their hands watching this. But yeah, so I know Rob from London. He's Mystery's wingman. I've known Rob for a number of years. He's a fellow Londoner. We live quite near to each other. I see him around from time to time. I knew that he was over here teaching at Bootcamp, and he's here with Mystery because he wings with Mystery of the game fame. The OG of all of this stuff, really. So we just bumped into them in the street. Met Mystery and Rob hung around with us for a good, probably 15 minutes or so.
Mystery's a tall dude.
Very tall guy. Had the black nail polish, had the hat.
And he was drinking a Coca-Cola, and you happened to leave it, and you happened to get a sip out of Mystery's Coca-Cola.
I drank Mystery's Coca-Cola.
Forever, he's going to be remembered.
It was just genuinely because I was really craving some Coca-Cola, but yeah, maybe a little bit of that mystery magic that sort of passed on through the DNA that was in the Coca-Cola bottle, or maybe COVID.
Yeah, and it was just interesting because obviously, in terms of game in general, whether day game or night game, Mystery, as you mentioned, an OG. Everybody in this space knows about Mystery. I'm sure a lot of people read his book, Mystery Method. So it's just really cool and interesting just to happen to run into him, here in Kiev and just kind of see him for himself. And he talked to us for quite a bit.
Yeah, he was there quite a while.
About the city. It's just good to meet them.
He was generous with his time. As I say, I know Rob a bit anyway, his friend. But Mystery was there. He was chatting. We were with our guys that we were training. Mystery gave them some pointers, a little bit of a mini masterclass. So it was all good, really. So that was very cool. Yeah. Nick Crouser is here as well. If you guys are familiar with Mr. Crouser of Day Game fame, we bumped into him. He's here as well, out and about doing stuff. Obviously, we know the Natural Lifestyles were here. I don't think they're here at the moment, but they were here up until about last week. Apparently, James Crouser had seen James Marshall here about a week or so ago, so there's that going on. And tonight, none other than, drum roll, the Tate brothers are in town. The Tate brothers are here. There's no secret there because it's all over their social media. Yeah. The Tates are here. we're going to go and meet Tristan in a bit to just hang out and say hi. So that's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go over and chill out with them a bit.
Yeah, very cool. And obviously they have a huge social media presence. So, they're traveling all over the world if you follow them on IG. So it'll be, pretty cool to see them for a little bit.
Yeah,
and kind of
yeah.
see
And we had this concept. We had this concept for a new. Where's Tom Ferreira? We had this concept for a new YouTube series called Tates or Dates, because what we're finding here is because there's a lot of abundance, and obviously we're socialising, we're talking to a lot of people. There's a lot of opportunities here, maybe to to go out and meet a girl for a drink or something like this, or a coffee or whatever. But obviously we're keen to meet up with Tristan as well. It's a bit like, well, there's this like dichotomy, like you dates or the Tates. Which you do.
And we were talking right before you were saying, because we were getting messages. This girl's like, well, are you free now, or can you come over? Not come over, but can you come and meet up? And we're like, well, I don't know, maybe later, because we want to meet,
So we were thinking like every week you could have a show where every week it's a bit like you've got to go out, do some day game, do some socialising, meet different women, and then at the end of the week you've got to make that decision. Right, am I going to go on a date with this girl, or am I going to go and meet the Tates and get in their private jet and maybe go in the Lambo and have some expensive Cristal with them or something? Could be a good concept. So if any TV producers are watching and you want to bankroll that, get in touch.
Yes, exciting stuff.
Little Nicky.
I'm just starting to realize what a difficult time you guys have in the dating world, especially here in the UK.
Well, that's why we're not in the UK. So whereabouts are you, Nicky? You're in the UK? You're in London, maybe, or whereabouts are you? No, yeah. I mean, I think dating for guys is quite tough. I think it's getting perhaps tougher. At the same time, I don't think it's about getting out the tiny violin, and it's not about being victim, because women also have issues. Have challenges in dating. Yeah. We were talking about this earlier, weren't we? It's like a younger woman maybe has some advantage because she's very sought after and all the rest of it. But there are different set of challenges for women as well. But yeah, I think guys have it quite tough, and that's why we're trying to help.
And Troy's from England. I'm from actually the States, and I could say pretty much the same thing. Yeah, it's a little bit dating as a whole. I'm sure it's become tougher, but as Troy mentioned, as a guy, it's kind of like, it is what it is. You have to make the best you can. And obviously, if you don't like where you are, you can definitely travel to some of these other countries. So obviously, there's a lot of options in Europe. We happen to be in Ukraine, which is an awesome place. South America, like if you're in America, like Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, those are fantastic countries to go to. You don't just have to date in your hometown. So it's a little bit of an excuse when people just complain about the dating scene where they're from. It's like, all right, well, if you don't like it, do something about it, change up your life.
There's definitely options, and that's why, we're banging on, and Tusk, obviously, on his channel is banging on the whole time about travel, because it's not a question. Like, we're working with a guy who's here with us this weekend. He's from Preston in the UK. Yeah. He's out with us. We've got a guy from, where's the other one?
From today, where they're from?
We got a guy who travels. He's actually originally Australian, but he lived in the UK as well. He's over here.
We have a guy who's American as well, but he's able to work remotely. So we have a guy who's actually an American, but his nationality is Belarusian. But his job, he's able to remotely work, so he can travel. And then, as Troy mentioned, a guy's from Manchester. Yeah. He came over here. Another guy is Australian, but his job, we don't obviously want to provide too many details, but he's able to travel quite a bit as well. So as you see, these guys come from these countries where maybe the dating scene is hard, but they're able to travel and come over here.
Yeah. What's that one there? It's something about this one here.
Good question, though. So, Mr. M, since you've been in Kiev for a while in general, are girls conservative cool with the same night? I was telling you about Poland, but yeah, guys, look, it's yes and no. Obviously, countries like Poland and Ukraine, you are going to get conservative women. They tend to be a little bit more religious countries. But as what I've seen so far here being the past couple of weeks, and Troy has seen here before, yes, you can do same night. But also maybe a girl may a couple of dates, 2 to 3, it does depend. but it's not just. It's a very broad term just to say all girls are conservative.
Yeah, it's not cut or dry because like you come here and well, we'll maybe show you the street in a minute, but you everyone's out here ready to go out, ready to party. The bars are open. People are out having a good time. It's not this kind of really strict kind of culture or anything like that.
And same thing in Russia, right?
Same thing in Russia, yeah. I mean, Moscow is pretty off the hook, to be honest. I mean, people are just partying like all night there. So it's not this really strict sort of conformist country. At the same time, you do have a bit of that background. So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah, like you're going to meet both types.
Yeah,
so
I would say Poland is pretty just, it's kind of like just a normal Western.
Yeah, guys, again, going back to, look, I mean, a lot of these countries, even if they're on paper more conservative, social media age, everybody has a cell phone, especially the younger girls. Like Poland, like you mentioned, it's very westernized.
Yeah,
particularly Warsaw. Maybe some of the smaller cities, not so much, but obviously you would go to Warsaw for gay, man. It's very westernized.
Yeah, completely. It's very modern.
Yeah, so this is actually a good question. Get your thoughts on this first. I have my thoughts.
I'm a bit old really to comment on college. To be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, so Mohammed, this is actually a really good question. So it depends on the size of your college. Obviously, if you go to a smaller college, you might run into the same people or you might develop that reputation. Same thing that, at least from the U.S. side, you have fraternities and sororities. So most of the cute girls are in sororities. So yes, there is a little bit of a risk if you're out there doing day game. You could maybe develop a reputation. Girls can say you can run into the same people. So I would say that in college, social circle game is big. Definitely do day game, but you have to be a little bit more careful with it so that you don't A, develop a reputation, and B, run into the same people or friends of friends, or else you might, have to go to a new college, right? You might burn it down.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like social circle game.
At work.
Work, or even the gym. People talk about the gym. These places where you've got to keep coming back there, and you've got to maintain a certain reputation. You don't want to burn your bridges. You know what I mean? So you've got to be a little bit sensitive to it. You can use the sort of principles of day game in a college environment, but I would say that really. Ideally, you want to be looking at developing your social circle. You want to be looking at being super social within the social circle. It's not like you're running around doing day game stops.
Yeah, exactly.
On the campus and things. Really.
Yeah, like you can join a fraternity or join a few good clubs. Obviously work out, and then social circle game. I think is probably big in college. Once you're done with college, do as much day game as you want. In the whatever city you're living in, because you're not running to the same people. But yes, in college, unless you just don't care. But to make sure that you're not potentially running into awkward situations, you don't want to be, going crazy with it.
No, definitely. Little Nicky again. I think a lot of guys.
I think a lot of guys are afraid to approach women today. Yeah, that's why, people are always interested about this.
So due to feminism, there may be some of that in the UK and America. I would say in places like this, that is less of a consideration.
That's
because
true.
It's culturally it's quite different. Here, Russia, probably to an extent Poland.
And Poland, yeah, but also a lot of the Polish girls say that the Polish guys are, from what they mentioned, they're very shy. So that's why when a guy actually does cold approach, it's very well received. Todd had something about college.
Todd B, probably.
Had something about college game. Okay. I would be really social and be gamey one-on-one with a girl.
Yeah, you be social. You don't want to. Somebody's banging on about. It's going on about somebody's hairline.
Right? Sounds sweet. Thank you. I don't know if it's a compliment. I'm not losing hair.
Troy, you handsome bastard. Troy's hair is much better. Sorry, mate. Sorry, mate. There you go. Troy for the next James Bond. Thank you, man. There is a. Oh, we come to the end of that. I think. There is an opening, isn't there? So let's see. And then Muhammad.
That's your favorite. How would you go about trying to travel for a day game if you have a weak passport that doesn't allow you for much? Well,
that's an interesting.
You want to. Yeah, there's no need to specify, but well, just look up in terms of the countries that you're able to go visa free. But if you do have to pay for a visa, I mean, obviously do some searching, but you just have to do some research, man. But there's still no limitations in terms of travel.
Well, it depends what country he's talking about, really. But if you're talking about, your passport makes it difficult for you to enter certain countries, that is going to be a challenge, I guess. UK passport's not worth what it was since Brexit. We're going down the ranks.
I mean, I'm a little bit spoiled. I have a US, so pretty much a lot of places are visa free. I've never had that experience. I don't know, man. There's not much we can maybe say, but just do some research and at least see where you can travel to, and then maybe if you find those details, let us know later. Shoot a question over.
There's a lot of websites as well about the deal with travel and deal with travel issues and things like that. I'm sure there are workarounds. We're probably not really qualified to go into too much detail, but you've just got to do your research and just find out what you can do, what is possible, and then act within that.
I don't know if she's white material. So I think man, that's kind of general, man, but a general rule of thumb is, what is it?
Has she got tattoos?
Date her for...
If she's got tattoos, she's not wife material.
Date her for a couple years. Really get to know her, because look, people, if you want a general answer, people can put a good front for the first few months, 6 months. Yeah. But you don't really get to know a person until after a year or two. So obviously get to know her family. Sorry guys, you guys should see this first. Get to know her for a couple years, and as a guy, take things slowly. Do not rush into anything. But obviously, if you're attracted to her personality, she comes from a good background, all this, you have to spend some time on it. Any specifics about Ukrainian girls that you guys have found different from other countries, where they're very beautiful? Not really. I mean, to a degree, you know that whole phrase that women are women everywhere? Obviously, if you're talking about beauty, yes, they are quite cute here, but in terms of...
You want to try it?
No, please.
Yeah, water, please. 1, 2?
Tea, yes. Turkish tea, yeah.
Two chai? And one water, or you want water?
No, I don't want water.
Okay. 2 chai, 1 water. Thank you.
It's no gas?
Specifics, I don't know, man. They're cuter here, but girls are girls everywhere.
I mean, women are women.
Yeah. Right. Are you saying that do they have certain characteristics that are not found in other countries? Not really.
I'm trying to think, really. I mean, only from my experience, only skewing towards the positive, in the sense that they are reasonably. Not universally, but they are reasonably open to approach here. They are quite friendly. They are quite receptive.
I guess if you were to say that, due to the high volume of quality here,
in terms of
their personalities, maybe they'll be a little bit more better and open. Whereas if you take them and put them in London or America, where the quantity there is not as high, they become more.
I mean, I've been hanging out with a Ukrainian girl recently, and she is very sweet, actually, and very, very sweet, very fun, very, very nice, and so on. I mean, I do feel like I'm generalising here, because probably you can say that about a girl from any country. But I think if you have any misconception about, they're going to be this kind of ice queen, they're going to be really, like cold or something like that. That's not the case. I think when you get through the surface, they are very, very warm. They're quite family orientated as well, which is kind of nice. They're just very they're fun.
Yeah, but at the same time though, women are women everywhere, so it's not like that much of a.
As little Nicky says, we are complicated creatures and contain multitudes. Exactly. Especially some of the birds in Preston, where one of our clients is from. They've certainly had multitudes. You know what I mean. What would you say a good statistic per week dates lays if you're good at day game, but also busy and limited with time? Can you share your weekly averages?
Well, what's the weekly averages in terms of how many dates to get per week?
Well, yeah.
For dates and lays, if you're good at day game, but also busy. So as I think.
It goes back to Tusker.
So they say basically 25 to 30 approaches per week. Out of that should be 2 dates per week essentially, out of those 30 approaches. And then for the girls that come out, it's probably like half the time, 50%. So if you're looking at it through a month, you're looking at 8 dates with new girls. Take that half in terms of taking them back home. So that would be, if you're doing it well, about 4. That's like on the minimum level though. Obviously, if you do more volume of approaches, it's going to be higher. But the basic stats are 30 approaches per week. Out of that, get a couple of two new dates, and then you just kind of go from there. But again though, it depends on your lifestyle. That's just the average, but it depends on yours particularly. So it varies between people.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying if you're busy, and I mean, I suppose you could say, I mean, Tusk would probably say, well, if you are busy, you should still be doing 30 approaches a week because it's only about 3 or 4 a day, which is not very many. So, but there's a lot of variables within that, and there's also, of course, the variables about what level you're coming at from in terms of your value. I mean, if your value is shit, then your results, frankly, aren't going to be very good. So it's...
Yeah, but if you live in a relatively busy city, just as an example, guys, here in Kiev, the minute I walk out of my Airbnb, I'm right by a big mall here. Literally within the first 5 minutes, there's already 2-3 girls to approach. Obviously, it depends on the city that you're at, but even if you're quote unquote super busy, you can still manage to do a few approaches a day.
Yeah. Adam says, I went to see the Bond film today, brilliant but sad. Yeah, looking forward to it. It looks really, really good.
Well, we have the next James Bond here, guys, so get ready.
I'm ready.
And then I'm going to apply after he's done. Actually, no, it's going to be him, then James, and then I'm going to apply.
Yeah, so something to look forward to there.
We broke out the news too.
Yeah. So Nick says, taking this forward, Mr. M, are you having dates every day in general?
Not every day, but yeah, every couple of days, depending on the volume of approaches.
I think, I think if you have to remember as well, guys, we are kind of working here as well. We're not just sitting with our dicks in our hands. We are training students and doing various other things as well, and the focus has to be on that. So we're not really running at full capacity. I mean, I think if we were, I think you could probably get a day pretty much every day here.
Yep, exactly.
I don't think it would be very hard.
But yeah, Nick, thanks for the question. And not every day, man, but there are loads of opportunities. So yeah, pretty much every other day, I have a date, and if that couple dates in one night, that just shows how much volume there is. And I was doing a majority of the approaches before we started teaching, because obviously, as Troy just mentioned, when you're with the students, the focus is on them. We're approaching with them, demonstrating, but your time and energy is spent on them. Troy, since you got that notification.
Yeah. Have you used Tinder? If so, how's it been? I mean, look, I've got Tinder on my phone. I've had a little bit of a flick. I'm not really seriously using it. I've had a few matches. I haven't really even sent any messages. I'm not really seriously engaging. What I've tended to do over the whole summer when I've been traveling with Tusk and obviously Mr. M is when we go to a new place, just going on there and having a look, seeing what the quality's like. Not really doing anything more than that. I mean, the answer is always that you're always going to get much better results from in real life approaches. I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, if I was relying completely on Tinder, then it would be pretty sparse picking. I'm sure.
Very simple. No.
Also, I did a show the other day with John, Modern Life Dating. Now his course is available now, and you guys should buy it through my link. So go to my channel and you'll see the link to John's course, which is called Pandemic Pick Up the Delta Variant. But he's got this module in there all about dating apps. there's the thing about day games. There's a whole module about day games, which will be really cool. But there's also a module about dating apps. And in the thing about dating apps, what he talks about, and I wasn't even really fully aware of this, but he talks about the algorithm and how basically the dating apps will push your value down over time on the algorithm. So even if you make a new account, they still know your phone number, and they will push down your value goes down unless you buy new things. So unless you buy boosts or you buy like the gold, premium package or whatever it is. So it's not even like, are you a Chad enough for Tinder? It's also that the actual algorithm is against you unless you're spending money with the dating apps. Because like James always says, they want you to stay on the app, so they're making more money. Do you know what I mean? They're almost incentivized for you not to be successful because they want you to stay on there. So you've got to bear in mind, the apps are weighted against guys in various ways. And you're much better off. I mean, yeah, do it a little bit in the background, but you're much better off doing in real life approach.
Nick, to answer your question, no, I've not used Tinder at all. It's not needed. At least here, yeah. But obviously, I'm sure other people might have success with it. What cities in the U.S. would you live in for an extended period of time?
Minnesota. That's where Aaron Clary lives. Is it not good?
No, I don't see that. Because I'll answer this, Mohammed. I'm from the U.S., so depends on your job, obviously, and your level of income. But obviously, Miami would be good. New York because of the volume. North Chicago, San Diego, and then I would say Texas, specifically Austin. Those are the best cities to game in America. It's not that many. But if I were to choose some, it would be those cities.
What about LA or something?
No, I mean, in California, I think San Diego, obviously good weather. I mean, I'm sure you can do LA, but I think San Diego out of California cities is the one you want to go to. People there are much more relaxed. They're not as uptight as they are in LA. Yeah. And the women there are just probably some of the hottest, if not the hottest. And then also another one too would be Phoenix, Tempe, Arizona. A lot of people are trying to sell us flowers. I don't know if they think we're like what we're doing.
They think we're on a Tinder thing. No, he finishes it here.
No, I wouldn't.
It's quite specific. Would you advise within the first 3 minutes of the conversation to ask if she's single?
So take it like this. I mean, a lot of times they may not say it, but just like if you open up and she doesn't mention boyfriend right away, assume that she's single, and then when you go for the close, then maybe sometimes she'll say I have a boyfriend. But no, never ask, because it can be an easy cop-out for them to say yes, I have a boyfriend, and then walk away.
Yeah, I don't think, it's like a sort of, I'm trying to think of the analogy for this in sales, but you don't want to help them with their objection. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to provide them with objections that they could make towards you. You know, if she wants to make the objection, well, I've got a boyfriend, so therefore I'm not interested, then that's her, her right to do that. But there's no need for you to suggest it. You know, it's almost like, would you go in and say, oh, do you like guys with brown hair? Or, she's like, well, no. Why would you suggest something that she could then shoot you down?
And take it at a lower level, one point in, hey, do you speak English? That's when we're thinking you can just come out and say no.
Yeah. We were saying that earlier. Going in a place like this, going in saying, do you speak English? At the beginning, I hope you speak English, is a bad move, because it's a very easy, they just go no, and then they walk on. Now, in most cases, they actually do speak a bit of English. And sometimes they say no because it's an easy blowout, but sometimes they say no because they're actually embarrassed about their English, and they feel like their English should be better. Yeah. But usually it's good enough for the purposes of the kind of conversation we want to have.
So James has a video on Belarus, I believe, but I've never been.
I haven't been.
But I heard though, and it's quite good there. I actually met quite a few girls from Belarus and Poland, actually. Quite attractive.
They're very attractive.
Probably the same as here, but that should be on the list for the future, right?
Yeah, I definitely will. I'm definitely going to get there at some point. So.
Did you game in Poland? Yes. There's some videos that are going to be coming out, guys, from the Warsaw Bootcamp, anyways. So I went to Krakow and Warsaw, and you had an amazing time. Yeah, man. Poland in general, as you guys mentioned, it's a safe pair of hands.
Yeah.
So girls are attractive. They're very receptive. They know English quite well. You go through the summer, amazing weather. Yeah, Polish girls are just really cool girls to hang out.
Yeah, there's not a lot not to like really with Poland. It's pretty cool, but it's not like it's not a complete sort of paradise where you just walk in and you know. Do you guys have any suggestions for how to become a digital nomad and being able to live and work abroad, especially if you guys haven't currently had a job? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because obviously we are sort of living that lifestyle, but also a lot of the guys who actually we train in some shape or form are living that sort of lifestyle, aren't they?
So yeah, I mean, obviously it depends on your specific field of work, but I think one of the lessons the pandemic has taught everyone is that a lot of jobs can actually be done remotely. And what a lot of people have done is they actually ask their employers that, hey, I don't know about full time, but at least half the time, can I do more remote work? And if they say no, then there's more job opportunities that are opening up for remote work to happen. Because a lot of the, from the pandemic, people had to work remotely, and then after it's, not saying the pandemic's over, but now that things are opening back up, a lot of people are continuing just working remotely.
Yeah.
And having that option.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be done remotely now. Surprisingly, it's not just international dating coaching. There are many jobs that can be done, and you've got to look at your skill set. I mean, it depends what industry you're in. So even if your current job you can't do it, would there be another firm that you could work for where maybe you could, or could you negotiate with the firm that you're currently with?
Yeah.
Could you set something else up? Could you set something up on your own?
Yep.
Could you do freelancing? There's a lot of guys who give advice about how to do. I mean, there's a guy I follow called Dylan Madden from Twitter. He's on Instagram. He has a whole thing about how to do freelancing and live and travel around the world. There's lots of different things you can do. It's just a question of matching your skill set to, what's available, really.
Yeah, exactly. What about Denver and Phoenix? Yeah, I did mention Phoenix is a good area because you have ASU, which is one of the largest universities in America. Then you have places like Tempe, Scottsdale. Those are great areas. Then you have the greater Phoenix area. I don't know about Denver. I'm not gamed in Denver, so obviously if somebody else in the chat has anything about that, but it gets quite cold there, obviously. But definitely Phoenix is a great place.
Wow.
Thanks, guys. My thoughts exactly. No problem. Nathan?
Got an interesting one about age gaps here. If there is a 15+ year age gap, is it better to lie about your age or just be honest, especially if you're younger than actual age? Well, interesting one, really. So actually, my ex in London was, I think, 18 years younger than me, and we were dating. We were together for a few years, and she obviously knew my age and everything like that. It's not as much of a problem as people think it is, and that's in London, right? That's in London. And then I was dating this other girl. She was about 15 years younger than me. Again, knew my age, no problem, whatever. They don't really care. Also, it depends where you are, because that's in London, and London is maybe a bit more sensitive. When you're in here, or you're in Russia, or maybe Poland to some extent, actually Poland as well, age is just less of an issue. They don't really care that much. Whereas in the West, it's maybe there's maybe some questions asked. Like here, they don't really give a damn.
Yeah.
With that kind of age difference.
Yeah, like I'm from the States, guys, and like I'm 30, so it would be considered weird for a 30-year-old guy to go out with like a 22, 23-year-old. Whereas here in Ukraine, it's actually girls prefer guys to be older than them. It's not as weird, so it just depends on where you're from.
Yeah.
And don't own your age. Don't make it don't think too much about it.
You could sort of, I mean, you could sort of, you don't have to go full disclosure in the first meeting if you don't want to. Do you know what I mean? You can sort of be a bit like, oh, she's like, how old are you? Like, how do you think? Guess. Oh, yeah, good guess. But actually, when we were talking to Mystery before, he's 50 now. He's in his 50s, and he was saying, in his view, age is not only not something to be worried about, particularly when you're in a place like this. It's actually an advantage to be older, and I think that is probably true, because we do see a lot of couples around where the guy is significantly older than the woman, and and it's all good. They don't really care. And I think in the end, I mean, when you're actually in the relationship, it's all about the chemistry. It's all about the vibe between you. It's not the age thing. It doesn't really matter. It's about how you guys get on. So don't worry about it too much.
Yeah, for the most part, it's like as long as you have your life together and everything. Usually men should get better with age.
They
should
should,
be that much of a mitigating factor at all.
Well, look at the Rolex Massey, the SMV chart. I mean, men's SMV does increase, although I guess it kind of levels off, as you're getting into your 40s, really. But, the reality is you can keep your value for a very long time.
Okay, JS, I'm actually from Ohio as well. There's a link in the description to my YouTube channel. Go subscribe and you can send me an email. So if you're trying to learn game, just reach out to me personally because I am from Ohio as well. What a coincidence.
Ohio.
Age is a no-brainer for a man. Age is no barrier if you're not fat or dress like a nerd.
Yeah, I mean, the caveat to all of this is obviously you've got to do everything you can to keep your value and even increase your value if you can. Unlike him. But yeah, I mean, you keep your value and you should be good for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, definitely.
Keep the questions coming, guys. We got a little bit longer, so keep the questions coming.
Cheers for your answers. Of course, guys, any questions, we're here to try our best to help give our good opinion. Awesome. I'm in a university. Okay, so at the same time though, like that doesn't mean don't obviously date, because at college, depending on what you're going to do after, at least in the US, this is going to be a time where possibly you're going to meet the most people, not only girls, but guys for friends at one time. So obviously you want to socialize, start dating, but we're just saying that don't go like cold approach every girl that you see to develop that reputation.
Yeah, you don't want to come across like some kind of game weirdo, That's not the good vibe to have. If anyone's got any more questions, just keep piling them in and we'll keep going for a little bit longer. Yeah, the vibe is good, man. The vibe is good out here.
People are starting to, what time is it? People are starting to, it's about almost 10 o'clock, but the night's just kind of getting started. People are like,
wait a minute, 10 o'clock or?
Yeah, 9:52 right now.
Oh, we're going to see that.
Well, we should go now. We'll let them know when we're about to go.
We're going to have to go, guys.
Again, we're going to be seeing.
Well, we're going to get kneecaps. We're going to have to go, guys, because we have a date with the takes.
And again, guys, I just started a YouTube channel, so go to the description. I'll definitely support you guys. Check it out. Subscribe if you like it. If you have any questions, please reach out.
Hit subscribe to my channel. Hit subscribe to Tusk's channel. Check in the description underneath this. You can get various books and courses that I have, or reach out to me for coaching as well. That's it, guys. We will see you again very soon. Bye bye. No, I didn't realize it was quite late.